Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live discussion. My name is Roy Nummer of Mundo Albiceleste.com, and we have a lot to talk about. First, I just want to welcome everybody, and we have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the national team for the June matches. So the squad that got picked, we're going to go through them. We're going to go through the list. The match against Australia, the match against Indonesia. We're going to talk about the Under-20 World Cup, the Under-20 team, what happened there, some of the players. We're going to talk about Javier Mascherano. We're even going to dip a little bit into the Olympics next year and the Olympic qualifiers starting at the start of January, or that are set to start in the start of January. And we're going to talk about the Champions League final as well. It's Lautaro Martinez, Joaquin Correa, Valentin Carboni up against Julian Alvarez and Maximo Perroni. So we got a lot to talk about. And first thing, hello, John, a dear, good old friend of Mundo Albiceleste. Hello, John, all the way from Malaysia. If I'm not mistaken, it's about 10 a.m. in Malaysia right now. So thank you, John, for joining us. If you're watching, let me know where you're watching from. Join in the discussion. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. We got a lot to talk about, and we are going to get to all of it. All right, here we go. Good morning. All the way from Nepal for Rohit, good morning. All the way from Nepal. So we got Malaysia, we got Nepal, we got good evening from New York. Moitul, good evening. It's a good evening for myself as well over here. So hello, good evening. And we got Dallas, Texas. So Dallas, it's evening time in Dallas. So good evening from Dallas as well for Suraj. As I mentioned, we're going to talk about a lot of things, and let's get to this. The main team, the Argentina team for June. National team coach Alejandro Sabella. Jesus. I was just watching highlights from the 2014 World Cup. But Argentina national team coach Lionel Scaloni has announced his list of players for the matches in June. And we have Edwin from the Fiji Islands. Wow, I've never been to the Fiji Islands. I'd love to go to Fiji. This is worldwide. Over here. So let's get into the team and who Scaloni picked. And we're going to talk. There's some new faces. There are some familiar faces. Let me get to this here. We're going to bring this up, and we're going to talk about the team as well. And I have one from Canada. There you are. Good evening, Emmanuel, all the way from Canada. Good evening. John says about the under-20 team, I felt disappointed with the result, but we need to look at the big picture. It's not the end. We have an array in the talent in the pipeline, and I absolutely wholeheartedly agree. A lot of people panicked, and a lot of people kind of lost their minds a little bit when talking about the under-20 team. But like John mentioned, we got some positive news regarding the under-20 team. Now, let's get to the national team itself. Let me make this just slightly bigger for everybody. Hopefully everyone could see that. So the list of players for the team for the two games. So we have Emiliano Martinez, we got Geronimo Rulli, we got Walter Benitez, we got Nahuel Molina, Gonzalo Montiel, Germán Pasella, Christian Romero, Leonardo Balerdi. So we got a couple of new faces so far. Nicolas Otamendi, the veteran, Facundo Medina, Nicolas Tagliafico, Marcos Acuna, Leandro Paredes is another one, Enzo Fernandez, Guido Rodriguez, Rodrigo De Paul, Ezequiel Palacios, Alexis McAllister, Thiago Almada, Giovanni Lo Celso, Lucas Ocampos is back in the team. Angel Di Maria, Lionel Andres Messi, of course, Julian Alvarez, Giovanni Simeone, Alejandro Garnacho, Nicolas Gonzalez, and another one that was added as well is Facundo Buonanotte of Brighton. He was added a little bit later on. So that's the team that got picked, and let's talk about this. Why not Musso? So Juan Musso is not there. He's ever since his injury right before the World Cup, he needed surgery. He's kind of lost his place in the team. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the goalkeeping department. We have Walter Benitez, who was previously of Nice. He has represented Argentina at youth level, the goalkeeper. He has become the third choice. No Franco Armani. Armani's not there. Walter Benitez is there. Rulli and Dibo, the three goalkeepers. And Benitez has been in great form for Nice. And then later on, when he joined PSV Eindhoven in the Netherlands, continuing his great form. So he's done very well, and a well-deserved call-up for him. John says, I feel it's fair to say the pool talent that we have now is the best in a long time. I agree. The man is right. The future for Argentina is bright, and I wholeheartedly agree with you, John. The talent is there, and at youth level, we're going to talk about that, and at senior level. And if we just go back to the list of names here. So the goalkeepers, I'm very happy about. Let me know what you guys think about the goalkeepers. I got a question right here. Rahid says, what about Ledesma? And I'm guessing we're talking about Ledesma, the goalkeeper from Cadiz. He's done very well. He was the overage goalkeeper at the Olympics last year for Argentina. He was probably Argentina's best player ledesma Alexis McAllister at the Olympics, despite the fact that Argentina did not go very far, and were eliminated in the group stages. But Ledesma is another one that's done very well, one of the better goalkeepers in La Liga. And he's not that young, but then again, neither are any of the other three that are in this team. But hey, age is just a number, especially when it comes to goalkeepers. Ledesma is probably one we could see in the future. Who knows? I'm surprised about Benitez, but I like the question, Rahid. Thank you for the question. I do enjoy it. And why are we not getting Musso? We'll see what Scaloni's thinking about in regards to Musso. Maybe there was something Scaloni didn't like near the end. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Abdullah says, I think we should consider young blood instead of Pasella and Guido. Oh, and I agree. And we're going to talk about this as well. So, for the goalkeepers, I'm quite content. Let me know what everybody thinks about the goalkeepers. I had a question about Ledesma, a question about Musso. Hello, Rose from California. Yay. So hello, Rose, and good evening. If I'm not mistaken, it's about 7 p.m. Where you're at right now. So good evening to you, Rose. So going back to the team here, and we're going to talk about the young blood. Abdullah mentioned about Pasella, for example. So if we go back to this here, right? If we take a look at the not the goalkeepers, but if we take a look at the defenders. So we have Molina, Montiel, Pasella, Romero, Balerdi, Otamendi, Medina, Tagliafico, and Acuna. So most of them were at the World Cup except for Balerdi and Medina. So Medina, Balerdi, those are the two new defenders that are with the team. Balerdi has played with Argentina in the past under Scaloni. He has been there, if I'm not mistaken. His last match was, I think it was a 5-0 or 6-1 win. I can't quite remember, but it was against Ecuador in 2019 or 2020. It was a friendly match. That was his last call-up for the national team. But Balerdi's done quite well with Marseille ever since joining them from Borussia Dortmund in Germany. So a well-deserved call-up for Balerdi, in good form, and maybe one for the near future as well. And then the other one is Medina, and we're going to get to let's get to these right now. So Abdullah, he's from Bangladesh. All right, Abdullah, all the way from Bangladesh, another one. And Caspian, hello Caspian. Caspian says, Balerdi and Medina were preferred to Senesi and Perez, but overall we have decent depth in the center back position. Yes. And Medina is the other one. Medina has done very well with Lens in Ligue 1. So we got a couple of call-ups. Balerdi in Ligue 1. Walter Benitez used to play for Nice in Ligue 1 in France. Now we got Medina as well. I'm quite happy with Medina. I'm very glad he got called up. I think it's very well deserved. And I'm excited to see what he can add to the national team in terms of depth as well. Because he can play as center back and also play, if I'm not mistaken, as left back. And we're, the left back Tagliafico and Marcos Acuna are not the youngest, so we do need an option in the near future at left back, potentially Medina, maybe Valentin Barco of Boca Juniors and the Argentina under-20 team, but he hasn't been called up just yet. But I agree, Senesi is another one. So Senesi was rumored to get called up. Looks like he's going to survive in the Premier League. Might not get the drop, or maybe they got relegated. And Perez as well. Perez is another one. Nehuan Perez with an AC being linked back to Atletico Madrid, the center back. So Argentina they got some names. They got some names in the pipeline. They really, really do. And especially when you consider that, Nicolas Otamendi is towards the tail end of his career with Argentina. Maybe one more Copa America in him next year. And then after that, in all likelihood, he might step aside and we might get, some fresher blood. So we might get the starting duo of Christian Romero and Lisandro Martinez, or maybe Martinez plays left back and we get a different center back. Who knows? Who knows? But we got some options. I love the names here. Absolutely love the names. Keep these coming. All right. Keep the comments coming. And going back to the chat, just to the goalkeepers really quickly, John says, Emiliano Martinez, Rulli, and Benitez are good shouts with the 3 goalkeepers until 2026. I'm on board for those 3. Going to Edwin. Hello. I think Claudio, a youngster now, talking about some of the young guns. Claudio Echeverri is a very good upcoming player, and that Southampton guy, Alcaraz, yes. And I agree on both counts. So Claudio was part of the under-17 team with Argentina, did well, did very well, and he's doing well. Got called up recently to the main team at River Plate, and he's done very well. And he's still a little bit young, so we got a couple years left, maybe until we see him with the senior team. But definitely a prospect. Keep his name, keep him in mind. And Carlos Alcaraz of Southampton. I'll tell you what, whoever gets him, if he does end up leaving Southampton, because they have been relegated. If I'm a club in the Premier League or elsewhere in Europe, first division team, I am going after Alcaraz, at least try and get him on loan. This kid is too talented. He is too good to be playing in the championship in a second division team. No disrespect to the championship whatsoever. But I think, he was probably one of Southampton's better players, despite the fact that it was his first season over in England. All right. Abdullah from Bangladesh says, I think we should call up Amion or Simeone because he's very strong in the air. So Giovanni Simeone is called up. He is part of this team, and he also recently won Serie A with Napoli. So congratulations to him. All right. So, hi, Roy. I want to share something personal with the Mundo family. All right. I did not watch a single match live since 2020 World Cup qualifiers until the World Cup final. I did not watch the Copa Finalissima and World Cup winning moments. I just followed scores. So very superstitious. That's incredible. Very superstitious. And maybe another reason how Argentina were able to get through this. I know a lot of people were superstitious when it came to the Copa America and the World Cup and the Finalissima. So always nice and cool to hear these stories. Abdullah, I'm going through these comments in order, and we're going to go back to the team. We're in the defenders now, but we should call Blanco and Barco because Tagliafico and Acuna are getting old. I think we're going to see some, right? I think we're going to see some new faces or newer faces in the team in the next 12 months or so. I don't doubt it, as always. All right, Pablo. Hola, Pablo. All the way from New Zealand. Absolutely incredible. This Mundo Albiceleste family. I like what Scaloni is doing in the direction he's still taking us. No more Armani is good. A few, but Pasella I do not get. His call-up is still a mystery to me. We have some great young talent, and Scaloni is looking at them, and that is key to keeping the national team at the top. Yes, and you mentioned Germán Pasella here, Pablo. And one of the reasons why I think maybe Pasella is still on the team, and I say this cautiously because he has done well for Betis this season in La Liga. He's done actually pretty well with them. But he is tall. So, when you look at Romero's tall, Lisandro isn't the tallest. Otamendi's good, but Otamendi's not getting any younger. And my guess is maybe Scaloni wants to keep Pasella as an option coming off the bench, even though that didn't work too well against the Netherlands, that foul at the very end. But I think Pasella is in there because of his height as well. And at this point, he's not young either, so he does bring that experience. And on form, he's been doing well with Betis. Got to give him that. And here we go. Let's continue. And Abdullah, I don't consider Lisandro as a center back because of his height. I know he's elite, but it is what it is. Look, he's done well in the Premier League. Jamie Carragher had to apologize to Lisandro. So, hey, no, but I get what you mean. I get what you mean. But you know what? I don't doubt Lisandro's abilities at center back. I rate him personally. I truly, truly do. But that's just myself, and just my opinion. All right, continuing on with this here. So with the list of players, let's get to the midfielders. So Leandro Paredes, Enzo Fernandez, Guido Rodriguez, Rodrigo de Paul, Ezequiel Palacios, Thiago McAllister, Alexis McAllister, Thiago Almada, and Gio Lo Celso. So if we look at this, Paredes, absolutely. Fernandez, absolutely. Guido Rodriguez is probably the most pure defensive midfielder that Argentina have. He's very combative, very physical, very good in the air. He is that destroyer defensive midfielder that Argentina don't necessarily have in some of the other ones. So I get his inclusion. He has been linked with a couple of clubs across Europe. I get his inclusion. I have nothing against Guido Rodriguez, so no problems with him. Rodrigo de Paul, definitely. Ezequiel Palacios has done very well with Bayer Leverkusen this season. His season has done a complete 180 ever since Xabi Alonso took over as coach. So I'm very happy for him. For Palacios, has been a great option for the Argentina national team coming off the bench. I know at one point, because of the injuries, he'd come on and he wouldn't necessarily play too well, but I think overall he's done very well. Alexis McAllister, what can you say, being linked and very close to joining Liverpool from Brighton, so very happy for him, extremely deserved, and it's going to be fun to see if Scaloni goes with him as a starter in the future, and we have options. I'm very happy about that. And then Thiago Almada and Gio Lo Celso. Almada's continuing to do very well in the MLS with Atlanta United. And Lo Celso, I mean, what can you say? An absolute stellar player, extremely talented, technical ability on the ball, tremendous. So Argentina have options. It all depends on how Scaloni wants to approach this. My question to everybody here, and let me know, please, this is my question for everybody, is who would be your midfield three? Who's your midfield three, everybody? Let me know and make sure to hit that subscribe button. But who is your midfield three? Do you go with De Paul and Enzo and Lo Celso? Do you go with De Paul, Enzo, McAllister? Do you go with Paredes, Lo Celso, De Paul? Who do you go with? Do you throw Almada in there? Let me know in the comments. What would be your midfield three for Argentina? And as a reminder, Argentina play 2 matches in June. First one on June 15 against Australia, and the second one on June 19 against Indonesia, in Indonesia, actually, in Jakarta. So let me know, and let's go through the chat as well. Caspian asks and says, Thiago Almada is linked to Napoli. That would be a good move for him. He has been linked to Napoli. Yes. Let's see if they'll pay the full amount of what they're looking for, of what Atlanta would potentially look for. And all right, BD Gamer. Dybala's performance is impressive in the Europa Cup. Better sensation for Argentina, who can perform. However, he is injured. Yeah, Dybala, we'll see what gives. He's often been a substitute for Argentina coming off the bench, and great substitute to have. There you go. Yeah. So in regards to Lisandro's height, I mean, Baresi, Cannavaro, right? Not 6'5" giants. Both one of the best defenders the game's ever seen, right? Hey, this is a big comment here. I'm convinced Lautaro scores versus City in the Champions League final. We're going to talk about the Champions League final as well. And BC says his midfield three, or their midfield three, McAllister, Enzo, and De Paul. So going essentially with the World Cup final trio, and after that, Giovanni Lo Celso next. Suraj says De Paul, Enzo, Lo Celso. All right, De Paul. So you would drop Alexis for Lo Celso. That's fair. Caspian, Enzo, McAllister, and De Paul. 3 versatile midfielders. This would be a nice one. Would be nice. It is nice. We saw it in the final, in the World Cup final. Abdullah, Abdullah De Paul, Enzo, and Lo Celso will be my midfield trio. Lo Celso because he links up very well with Messi. We saw this as well. We saw this in the friendly matches after the World Cup when Lo Celso was back in the 11, how well he linked up with Messi. Did not miss a beat, linked with him the same way he linked prior to his injury, prior to the World Cup. All right, let's continue. I want to go with De Paul, Lo Celso, Paredes. Paredes is another one. Difficult problems with Juventus. Not his fault, just Juventus in general. A lot of problems with them, both on and off the pitch this season. But a World Cup has got me in doubt. Enzo will be my go-to man for sure. Rose says Enzo, De Paul, McAllister, so same as the World Cup final. Edwin, predictions on chances of Messi lifting the 8th Ballon d'Or or Haaland if he wins the UEFA Champions League. It's got to be Messi. It's got to be Messi. I know a lot of people will say Haaland, and he is a goal-scoring machine. Do not get me wrong. But I think it has to be Messi. Messi's had a very good personal season, individual season with PSG. Player of the tournament at the World Cup, won the World Cup. That's got to count for more than winning the Champions League, in my opinion. If we're looking at it just from a strictly, trophies won, what weighs more? World Cup weighs more. West Ham clips, but very good question, Edwin. I like it. I definitely do. West Ham clips, I think it has to be Enzo, McAllister, and De Paul, but I would not be surprised at all if Lo Celso gets his place back. And that's the good thing about our midfield is we have options, right? If for whatever reason one day McAllister can't go, you got Lo Celso. Enzo can't go, you got Paredes. You also have Almada, not a bad option off the bench too. So we have 5 or 6 midfielders, plus Ezequiel Palacios, what he offers when he comes on as a substitute too. So a lot of good players. If you want to go a little bit more defensive, which Scaloni's tried in the past, you go with Guido Rodriguez, right? Not a bad defensive midfielder to have, the most pure defensive midfielder that Argentina has in the team as well. So we got some choices. Calvin, hello, Calvin. Hope you're doing well. I am doing very well, buddy. Very, very well. How are you doing? Hope you're doing good. Excited to watch Escaloneta again. The World Cup champions. Yes, the World Cup champs. I finally put up I'm trying to put this. Here you go. The can't move. There you go. The badge here with the 3 stars. Got that up. Wearing the Maradona on the badge with the World Cup trophy. This one. So I'm just as excited as everybody to watch Escaloneta, the World Cup, Copa America, and Finalissima champions, the international treble winners. All right. So Kshitish says De Paul, Paredes, Lo Celso, and match of De Paul, Enzo, Lo Celso, or McAllister. We got choices. Emmanuel. Emmanuel Lo Celso just has to be there. He is special. He's a tough one, right? We spoke about this. We have videos about this, talking about Lo Celso, and when he got injured right before the World Cup, we did videos saying it's not going to be one person that's going to cover or replace Lo Celso, right? We saw Papu Gomez start versus Saudi Arabia. We saw Guido start against Mexico. Then ultimately it became De Paul, Alexis, and Enzo. So he is very, very special, Lo Celso. He really is. He very rarely goes 90 minutes for Argentina. So if he could only go the 50 or 60 minutes, you're always going to get a solid 50 or 60 minutes from Lo Celso. So I love the guy. I really, really do. Let's continue here. BC, Roy's good luck almost as soon as his channel started. 28-year drought ended. Yes, exactly. That's why everybody should be supporting the channel. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you, everybody, honestly, once more for joining live. If you're watching us on repeat, let me know in the comments down below your midfield 3. What do you think? What would be your midfield 3 for Argentina moving forward? Oh, and we got Luca Romero. We're going to talk about the under-20s. We're going to talk about the under-20s and Luca Romero for sure. And going back to the Ballon d'Or talk, BC's rooting for Inter. He does not want Haaland to win the Champions League and potentially get Ballon d'Or. All right, let's Abdullah going deep. I like this. I think we should go Valis because he's an elite in the air, and our only weakness in number 9 position is height because Lautaro and Alvarez's height. So Valis did very well with the Under-20 World Cup team at the Under-20 World Cup, scored 3 goals, and all 3 were headers. So another prospect, and one that honestly surprised me. I thought he was going to do well at the Under-20 World Cup, but he kind of exceeded my expectations. So why not in the near future have him for sure? All right, let's continue. All right, let's go back to this. So Abdullah Roy, I was waiting full night for the Copa America final to get an update on Couto Romero's injury, and in the end, gave positive news. Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you for the support, and thank you everybody for the support as well. West Ham says, no man, I think Gio Simeone would be called up if Scaloni was looking for that type of option. Yes, and Scaloni has called up Simeone, so Simeone is in the national team, and that, funny enough, if we go back to the squad, brings us to none other than the strikers. And the strikers, we got Lucas Ocampos, or the forwards. So we got Lucas Ocampos, Di Maria, Messi, Alvarez, Simeone, Garnacho, and Nicolas Gonzalez. And Ocampos just won the Europa League with Sevilla, took the first penalty in the penalty shootout against Roma and scored it. He's refound his form this season, maybe not quite at the 2020 form that he was in, but still in great form for Sevilla. So he's back in the team, an absolute workhorse. Di Maria is Di Maria. I mean, it's Di Maria, right? Messi's Messi. We're going to talk a little bit about Messi's future in just a little bit as well. Julian Alvarez just won the FA Cup a couple of hours ago, despite the fact that he didn't play in the final, oddly enough, by Pep Guardiola. But he still got his medal and scored a couple of nice goals in the FA Cup this season. So congratulations to Alvarez. Simeone won Serie A with Napoli, and he's in the team after having not been there for some time now. Simeone's back in the squad. And then we have Alejandro Garnacho and Nicolas Gonzalez. Garnacho did play in the FA Cup final today for Manchester United in their 2-1 loss against City. And Garnacho is one that we've spoken about several times. I'm excited to see him. I hope he gets some minutes either against Australia or Indonesia, and I think Scaloni will give him those minutes. Garnacho, in my opinion, is one for the future. I think he could absolutely be a great super sub for Argentina. And when I say for the future, I mean, after Di Maria retires or steps aside, I think Garnacho could easily become that winger for us. And I think he could be that super sub for us starting very soon as maybe the match against Australia. I'm excited for Garnacho. Very quick, just raw talent, and has a lot of confidence. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing him. And then you got Nicolas Gonzalez, who always puts in a shift. Extremely unlucky for him to miss the World Cup due to injury. A great player to have. Very versatile. Has played left back for Argentina. Can play midfield, on the wing as well. Very versatile and very underrated, in my opinion. I think if Nicolas Gonzalez was born in Brazil and played at the World Cup, his transfer fee would be very high. I absolutely do love Gonzalez. I've spoken highly of him several times in recent videos and past videos. So I love Gonzalez. Let's go back to the chat here. All right. Caspian says Ocampos' form has drastically improved towards the end of the season. At his best, he is a decent option to have, but not sure if he's better than Angelito Correa. Ocampos is tall and physical too. I love Correa. I truly do. And it's a shame he's not in this squad. It really is. But I get Ocampos' inclusion. He offers something to the team. A workhorse, a very good dribbler as well, and has a pretty good eye for goal, and just another lethal weapon when it comes to penalty kicks for Argentina, if need be. So I get his inclusion. I'd love to have seen Correa included as well. I'm a big fan of his. Abdullah, Roy, do you think Alvarez should change clubs because of game time? I do. he's too good to be on the bench. He really is. Julian Alvarez would be starting would be starting in any other club team in Europe. Any team that does not have Haaland, Alvarez starts. Period. Bar none. City have Haaland. Pep prefers Haaland, even though Alvarez, in my opinion, is a more versatile player and maybe offers you a little bit more than Haaland does. But yes, I would like to see Alvarez at a different club. I don't want him to be on the bench. Absolutely not. Yes, very good in the air too is Nicolas Gonzalez. He actually scored a header for Fiorentina, and in typical Nicolas Gonzalez fashion, and I say this tongue-in-cheek as a joke, I love Gonzalez. He scores and almost kills himself. He ran into the post. It was like midsection ribs into the post, nearly killed himself as he scored. But I love Gonzalez. And yes, he's very good in the air. Despite not being the tallest, very, very good. Yes, absolutely. Let's see. BD Gamer, Walter Benitez should prove himself as worthy for Argentina after Emiliano Martinez. If you guys follow me on Twitter, especially in the last couple of years, I've spoken highly of Benitez. I like him. He's done very well, in great form. Dibu is Dibu. He's the GOAT. That's it. He's the GOAT. I love Emiliano Martinez, and he should and will, and rightfully so, has to be the number one. But Benitez as a number two, very good option as well. Very good option to have Walter Benitez as a backup goalkeeper for Argentina. And we cannot forget Facundo Buonanotte as well. He was called up late to the national team. He was not released for the Under-20 World Cup by Brighton, but has been called up by Scaloni for these two matches. So some young players, we got Garnacho called up. We got Buonanotte that's called up if we go back to the list as well. We got Buonanotte. And then Thiago Almada, another young one as well. So we got some young players here. And this comment here, Emiliano and Benitez, both 30 years old, so we need a goalkeeper for the future. I agree, but at the same time, goalkeepers play a little bit different, right? Goalkeepers don't peak at 26 or 27. Goalkeepers can go easily till 36, remaining world class up until 36, and even beyond that. Obviously, we've seen Gianluigi Buffon, I think, still playing at the age of 40 or 41. But I'm not worried about our goalkeepers. I'm not worried about Dibu by any means, not even 0.00001% at all worried about him nor his age. I think Argentina are more than solid and more than safe when it comes to the goalkeepers until the next World Cup. And I truly, truly mean that. So I'm a big fan of both guys as well. Yes, BD. So there were some rumors about that as well. Argentina playing a friendly against Bangladesh. That does not look like it will be happening in June. So Argentina will play Australia and Indonesia in Asia. The first one in Beijing and the second one in Jakarta. So let me know your starting 11. In the chat, please. And then we're going to get to the under-20 team. So let me know your starting 11 versus Australia in the chat. Calvin. Let me just get to Calvin here first. I like how Scaloni keeps the squad refreshed. You want the young players to see how it feels to be at that level and be with the group. And this is something I quite like. And he's been doing for over a year now. Well over a year. But, since that January or March or February call-up last year, 2022, that had the Nicolas Paz and Luca Romero and Garnacho and Sule. These kids have gotten exposure. They really have. They trained with the main team, played at Under-20 World Cups, started playing with their clubs. So I'm very happy. I'm very happy with that and totally agree with you, Calvin. Totally agree with you. Let's continue. So BC. So glad South Asians root for South Americans over Europeans like they do in the US. That's a very it's an interesting mindset. But yeah, guys, so Argentina play Australia June 15, and then play Indonesia on June 19. Edwin, Edwin says Alejandro Garnacho today was really good after coming off the bench and nearly scored a goal. Very good prospect for Argentina. Pity not played at the Under-20 World Cup. I saw that match. I saw the FA Cup. Garnacho, when he came on as a substitute, very good on the wing. Had an effort, a curling effort, which just went wide. Really just went wide on the Manchester City goal. He's a spark plug. Garnacho coming off the bench for Argentina is going to be dangerously good. I'm very excited to see him. Abdullah, all right. So Abdullah's starting 11: Emiliano Martinez, Nahuel Molina, Cuti, Medina, and Tagliafico. All right. So Abdullah going with Facundo Medina as the center back alongside Cuti Romero, and then midfield we got De Paul, Enzo Fernandez, and Lo Celso. I quite like that midfield. I'd love to see it. And then up front we got Alejandro Garnacho, Julian Alvarez, and Lionel Messi. I'm down for that. That'd be a nice, a little bit of a different starting 11, right? You give Medina a chance to start, and then in midfield, that's a solid midfield, man. And you could rotate, you could replace any one of, Enzo, Lo Celso, De Paul, throw in a Paredes in there. It's just as interesting. And then up front, you give Garnacho the start. Just let him run, wreak havoc alongside Messi and Alvarez. That'd be a nice starting 11, and I would have no problems whatsoever with that 11. And next one would be Emiliano Martinez, Molina, Cuti, Otamendi, Acuna, Paredes, De Paul, Messi, Lo Celso, and Lautaro and Alvarez. So 4-1-3-2. All right, a 4-1-3-2. So Paredes playing that deeper role. And then De Paul, Messi, Lo Celso, and then Alvarez. Dude, Lautaro and Alvarez, man, Argentina are very lucky to have them. I know Lautaro's gotten a lot of stick on social media because of his World Cup, but let's not forget he was playing injured. He was playing on painkillers, yet he still made the runs. He still scored the winning penalty, the decisive penalty against the Netherlands. All the pressure in the world on him as well. And he's been in great form for Inter, scoring in the semifinals of the Champions League against AC Milan, and just overall this play, a lot of goals. Very, very happy for Lautaro, and Argentina are blessed having Lautaro and Julian Alvarez up front. Not many national teams can boast having world-class strikers. Not many. If you look at, for example, Spain are lacking in the striking department. You look at Germany. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. Germany does not touch Argentina, especially not in the striking department, right? You look at other national teams. I mean, France is France, right? They're stacked. France is stacked, but not many have what Argentina have. So we're very lucky to have them both. BC, Lautaro will play his way back into the starting lineup for the Copa America. Man, that's gonna be tough. That's gotta be tough, and that's gonna be very fun to watch. That friendly competition between Lautaro and Julian. I'm looking forward to that. West Ham clips. All right, his starting 11. Dibu, we got Molina, Romero, Medina, and Acuna. All right, so another one opting for Medina as the center back alongside Christian Romero. And then in midfield, we got Enzo, De Paul, McAllister. So same midfield that started and won the World Cup final. And then up front, we got Messi, Julian Alvarez, and Nicolas Gonzalez. Hey, just like the other starting 11s, I'll sign up for this one, West Ham clips. I really, really would. I like that. I like and I love seeing the love that Medina and some of these other players are getting. Not because I don't like, for example, Lisandro Martinez. Don't get me wrong. Love him. I love Licha. And if he starts, I love him. But I like that, other people are looking at the different options that Argentina have as well, right? Because Argentina, not just one starting 11. It's not a fixed or base starting 11. And that's the good thing. That's what I love about this squad, this team, this coach, these players, this coaching staff. It's great. We got some options. Yes. Now, obviously, we're talking Lautaro was not called up to this squad versus Australia and Indonesia. He's going to get treatment on his ankle. But I totally get what you mean. So no problem if you included Lautaro, beforehand. I get it. But if not, then we're going to go with Garnacho and Alvarez up front. Hey, I'm cool with that as well. Yes, exactly. I love this comment as well too. I really, really do. Sometimes as fans we might have a short memory, but let's not forget Lautaro was key in Argentina qualifying for the World Cup. A very, very good point. I quite like that. Billy, so another starting 11, we got Dibu, Molina, Romero, Otamendi, and Acuna. So Otamendi getting some proper love as well. I like that. Enzo De Paul, McAllister, so same as the World Cup. And then up front, so all right, so you're going essentially almost the same as the World Cup final, except you have Acuna starting in place of Tagliafico. Other than that, if I'm not mistaken, everyone started a World Cup final. Garnacho should get a chance by the substitution of Di Maria. All right, so you'd bring Garnacho on for Di Maria. BC says nobody produces goal scorers like Argentina. Fully agree. Abdullah, what do you think if we target 2026? We should think our center back option without legend Otamendi because he's getting older, and we should set a center back right now so that he can adapt. Very good question. Very good mindset. I quite like this, Abdullah. I really do, and that's why I like seeing the names of Lisandro Martinez alongside Romero, throwing in Medina in there as well, right? We saw at this World Cup, the players adapted. Scaloni adapted. Against the Netherlands, it was a back five, right, or back three, depending how you want to play it, where Otamendi played, Romero played, and Licha played. All three of them played. The next match, it wasn't. And I like that. So every match is different. Blood them, right? You got to blood them. So I quite like this. Let's continue. It's difficult to just love one player. You got to love them all. West Ham clips also think about Lautaro is a lot of his goals tend to happen at crucial matches. Yeah, crucial stages in matches. 0-0, 1-1. Yes. Yeah, 1,000% agree. He scores big goals. Lautaro doesn't score when it's, if his team is leading 5-0, he's not going to score the sixth goal. He's going to score that first goal or that second goal. The finalissima. It's all set up by Messi. But Lautaro scored the first goal. Copa Americas. At the Copa America, he scored a lot of times. Crucial goal. So good for him. No, absolutely. Spot on. Let's continue. Calvin, here we go. Calvin, starting 11. So we got Dibu, Molina, Romero, Otamendi, Tagliafico. So far, same as the World Cup. Enzo De Paul, McAllister, Messi, Alvarez. So same. There you go. I like that. I have to see the World Cup champ starting 11. I'll never get enough, man. I agree. I agree, Calvin. BC with a hot take. Peckerman plays Messi in 2006 and Aguero. I could see that. I honestly could see that. We've spoken a lot of times about 2006, the crucial substitution by Peckerman. I think that World Cup was Argentina's for the taking. And 2014, Aguero was injured. And Aguero would not have maybe been able to start that final. So there you go. All right, let's do this. Who do you think will be options for captain when Messi retires? Options are Emi, Paredes, De Paul. I got to go with Dibu. So obviously, if we're putting aside Di Maria and we're putting aside Otamendi, after Messi, I think the backup captains have to be Emiliano Martinez, Rodrigo De Paul, Christian Romero. Those are maybe my top three, just off the top of my head, not giving it too much thought, although it's a very good question. I like that, but those would be my three players. Here we go. BD Gamer, what did you think, Roy? Is this high time for Dibu? Yeah, it is. Absolutely. If I am Emiliano Martinez, I'm looking to switch clubs. I'm looking to change clubs. Nothing against Aston Villa. They've been great to him, but I want him competing for the Champions League. And not just in the Champions League, but competing for it. I want him to go to a big team, a contender team. That's where I want to see Dibu. So yes, I do think so. Edwin, I think Cuti Romero is one of the most underrated ball-playing center backs in the world. Dude, I just think he's one of the most underrated center backs, period, in the world. I was watching the World Cup final again, right? As everybody. And I was watching it. I kept my focus on Romero specifically. Whenever France would kind of attack, and he had Giroud, he had Olivier Giroud in his pocket for those 20 or 30 minutes that Giroud was on. And then in the second half, in extra time, Romero played a stellar World Cup and just a stellar final versus France. Very, very underrated. All right, so you're starting 11. Here we go. Emi Molina Cuti. Oh, Leo Balerdi. All right, different center back. Balerdi and Acuna. And then we got Enzo, McAllister, De Paul. So same midfield as the World Cup final. And up front, we got Garnacho, Simeone, and Messi. So we got a pure winger in Garnacho, an old school kind of, number 9, very good in the air in Giovanni Simeone. And then we got Lionel Messi. So a different kind of 11. But I like this one. It's a little bit different. And we might see it. Maybe with some substitutions, maybe a starting 11. Who knows? We could potentially see it either against Australia or against Indonesia. All right. Alcaprovo. Here we go. Let's do this. Hi, Roy. Good to see you live after a long time. Thank you. We had a live last week. I'm gunning to make one. I'm aiming to make one at least once a week. We're going to do one probably either before or after the Champions League final. We're going to have another one. But do you think that Garnacho will get some minutes for Argentina this time around? Excited to see him in the Argentine colors? Yes, I think so. I think Garnacho will definitely get some minutes, either against Australia or against Indonesia, or against both. Aslim, about friendly match in Malaysia. The chief of Malaysian FA recently had released a statement that said Malaysia was invited to a friendly game with Argentina, but he rejected it. Is it true? I haven't heard anything about that, to be very honest. I'm not saying it's false. I maybe missed it. But I know that some other teams were mentioned, let's say, but I did not hear about Malaysia being mentioned. It's possible they did and I missed it, or I wasn't informed, but it's possible. Yeah, right. Vinny, I've seen reports of Otamendi and Di Maria wanting to stay in Europe for one more season to stay ready for the Copa America. Surely Messi prioritizes the same. I would think so, right? There's been reports about Messi's future and about Europe and all that stuff. So yes, I think Messi wants to stay in Europe. I don't think it's a secret. He wants to go back to Barcelona. You can't blame him. It's just a matter of, could Barcelona bring him back? Because as much as the club says it's Messi's decision, it's not. He can't make a decision if there's no offer. Barcelona got to make an offer. They have to make an offer for Messi in order for him to say yes. That's the only thing. Mohamed, Debo is captain. Debo's already wild. I love the guy. Let's continue. Calvin, the amount of times Guti stepped out and intercepted the pass in the World Cup final was insane. Dude, tell me about it. Also got the header after Debo's last second save that could have fell to a Frenchman. Immense. That was another one. After Debo's save on Kolumuani, it fell right to Kuti, and he headed it, and he knew where he was heading it because Mbappe was right next to him. So one, if Kuti doesn't get that header, the ball falls to Mbappe. He gets the rebound. Two, if Kuti does get the header, which he did, and he heads it the other way, he's heading it towards right in front of Mbappe. And that's a very underrated thing that not many have maybe caught. So credit Calvin, and I agreed because he was very, very important on that play. Absolutely important. All right. I love this. I love all this talk. We spoke about Garnacho. Let's talk a little bit about this under-20 team. So Argentina, the under-20 World Cup, Javier Mascherano as coach. Look, I'm going to say this right off the bat, and I said this last week when we did this video. Credit to Mascherano, credit to these players. They played 3 very good games and got better as the tournament went on at the Under-20 World Cup. Yes, they were missing the likes of Nicolas Paz and Alejandro Garnacho, but these players stepped up. And this was night and day in terms of the team and the performance and even the coaching to a certain degree that we got from the Sudamericano and the Under-20 World Cup. Night and day. So credit to them. These kids are young. You're talking 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that are still improving. and showed the love for the national team shirt. Some of the performances were tremendous. We spoke about Federico Redondo. We spoke about Luca Romero, Matias Sule, Alejo Feliz. We spoke a lot of Valentin Barco, right? A lot of these guys are going to have massive futures with the national team, big futures in Europe. And for this Argentina team, I think they were just unlucky. I really think they were unlucky against Nigeria. They controlled Nigeria in the first half. Argentina did not create many chances in the first half, but they kept them at bay. And the second half, it was Argentina not able to always cope with the strength and the physicality and the fitness of the Nigerians, which are, very, very good players in their own right. And Argentina maybe, in front of goal were unlucky. You had Luca Romero who hit the post at 1-0. And then some of the decision-making left a lot to be desired. But these are kids. You can't blame them. They're still learning and they're still growing. And maybe at another day, the same kind of performance, Argentina eliminate Nigeria. And Argentina are in the quarterfinals of the U20 World Cup. They were unlucky. And, at 1-0 down, they went for crosses, they went for 1-2s, they went for efforts outside of the penalty area. They tried different things. And that's something that I enjoyed as well. It was nice to see. It wasn't just, we're going to try crossing and crossing. They tried different things, right? They tried moving it around, trying different things. And again, unlucky not to win versus Nigeria. It happens. But a lot of these players, and let me know which ones impressed you the most, but a lot of these players impressed me. I think Matias Sule is going to have a very good future. I can't wait to see him with the national team. Luca Romero's probably the youngest out of this team, and a tremendous talent. So raw talent in Luca Romero. His ability to turn, close dribble, technical ability on the ball, for such a young kid, a lot of power, long range efforts, either going in or hitting the crossbar or hitting the post. He's special. He is special. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not going to be one of those people that say he's the next Messi and he's the next this. No. He's Luca Romero. And he's going to be Luca Romero. And he's going to be a tremendous talent because he's already very, very good. So, you mentioned those guys. Valentin Barco, we were talking left backs, right? I mentioned Tagliafico and Acuna getting up there in age. Valentin Barco is one for the very near future. Very near future. And whoever gets him after Boca is going to be very lucky to have him. Very lucky to have him. Redondo's another one. The apple does not fall far from the tree. Federico Redondo, very similar to his father, Fernando Redondo. And we might end up seeing him at Real Madrid sooner rather than later. Right? I'm a Barcelona fan. I'd love to see him at Barcelona. I think he would fit right in. I'm also a realist. I know who his dad is. Right? So, but Argentina, very, very special at under 20 level. I'm telling you guys. Throw in the players that I just mentioned. With those players, throw in Alejandro Garnacho. Throw in a Nicolas Paz, a Nico Paz of Real Madrid, who scored a very good goal today, actually, against Barcelona's B team. Let's see this. So BC says, historically, players' kids are bad. I'll argue. Friendly argument. Yes, but not always. And it depends, right? I mean, if you're comparing Diego Maradona's kid to Maradona, not many are going to get to that level, if any, at all. Messi's another one. Who knows with his kids, right? 3 boys, who knows? But if we're talking specifically someone like Redondo, Federico Redondo has shown the talent. And side note, we're talking about Haaland. Haaland's a second generation as well. Probably surpassed his father. But Redondo's one, man. Redondo's one for the very, very near future as well. BD, Argentina's lost against Nigeria for their weak defensive skill. The defense don't have much for potentialities to face physical skill of Nigerian players. Hey, they were unlucky. They were unlucky. Some individual mistakes, it happens. It happens at every level. Every level. And again, credit to Nigeria and credit to their fitness and the talent that they have. Right? Sometimes you got to put your hands up and say, yeah, we were unlucky, but at the same time, the other team was good. And the opposition here was good. Nigeria were, tactically, they improved in the second half. They made the changes. We weren't always able to handle them. And Nigeria, to a certain extent, were lucky to be able to handle Argentina, right? We hit the post. They hit the post as well, but we hit the post. They had some goal line clearances type of thing. So it happens. It happens. Hey, Chiesa, right? So it's not always, right? It's not always going to be the fact where the son surpasses the father, but it does happen. It does happen. And I'll tell you what, I said this last time, I'm going to say it again. If Federico Redondo reaches 50% of his father's potential, that's special right there. That is special. And if you think in a couple of years, Redondo, I'm going to throw out these names, okay? I'm going to throw out these names. Dibu Martinez, Christian Romero, Lisandro Martinez, Valentin Barco, Facundo Medina, Federico Redondo, Leandro Paredes, Rodrigo De Paul, Enzo Fernandez, Gio Lo Celso, Thiago Almada, Matias Sule, Luca Romero, Nico Paz, Julian Alvarez, Lautaro Martinez, Alejandro Garnacho, Alejo Feliz. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? That's talent. And when I say future, I'm not talking 5 years from now. I'm talking a year, maybe 2 at most. Because a couple of these under 20 kids that I just named will make the jump to the senior national team sooner, way sooner, much sooner than later. Facundo Buonanotte is another one. Right? Facundo Buonanotte is another one. All right, let's see exactly. Mouth watering, dude. Mouth watering. Galvin, yep. I really don't like when people compare it to all-time greats. That's just unnecessary pressure. But yeah, Luca Romero is a special player. He'll build his own path. Special talent. He is. And he's gonna continue to grow. Shaw Fitness. Hello. Good day, bro. Hey, welcome, Shaw Fitness. And thanks for the support. Thank you for joining us. He did, yes. Tony Cruz recently came out and said that Nico Paz should be training with the first team, the first Real Madrid team, the senior team of Madrid, and that's some high praise. I know Tony Cruz is German, and we joke around about Germany. Cruz is talented, man. Cruz is talented. You don't play and you don't become a starter at Real Madrid for all those years if you're not talented. The kid sees talent. Sorry, the kid. Cruz sees talent in the kid. I mean, he's talented, man. He's talented. And it is mouth-watering. Those names that I just mentioned. And we're going to get some players that I missed. And we're going to get some players that are going to pop out of nowhere. It happens. And you're going to add those players to the ones that I just named. It's going to be something, man. It's going to be something. Now, it brings me to Mascherano, and Mascherano is set to remain as coach of the Argentina under-20 team and take over as the under-23 team, so the Olympic team coach. I know not many people are happy about it. I read the comments. I saw the comments, so I know not many are happy with Mascherano. There you go. I even forgot Perone. There you go. Maximo Perone. I knew I forgot someone. But yeah, Mascherano did not give him a chance versus Nigeria. We're going to see he's improved a lot. Mascherano is still, as a coach, still very, very young, just getting started. I wouldn't even say he started. He's just getting started. He's improved a lot since January up until now. Tactically, we saw it. His substitutions, again, against Nigeria, it happens. It happens to the best of them. So the AFA are willing to give him another chance. And credit to him, he's done well. I think he did well at this Under-20 World Cup. We got set to be in January, the qualifiers for the Olympics. That's going to be something as well. So if you could get them to qualify for the Olympics next year, and that's an under 23 tournament, Argentina has the talent. Argentina has the talent for that. Mascherano. So the reason we're not happy with Mascherano is because we are used to watching Scaloni's evolution into a World Cup winning coach, right? But we can't compare, right? We can't compare. We're spoiled. We're spoiled, and in a good way. I like that. Yes, much love sent out to Seba. I know Seba watches, and I'll text him as well. Tell him that you guys sending him some love. And Nico Paz scored a goal. Yes, he did. He did. I mentioned it earlier as well. Nico Paz scored a very good goal for Madrid's youth team against the Barcelona B today. So, yeah. Yeah, man. Alejo Feliz, another one. Alejo Feliz, right? Pure number 9. So we got a lot of young players in the pipeline coming up that are there now and that will continue to come up. So it's exciting. It's exciting. Caspian, Crespo and Melito would all do better than Mascherano. Well, Crespo's coaching in Qatar. I think he kind of won, I want to say, the league in Qatar a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. Ente and Melito. I'll say this, coaching the youth or coaching young players is not always the same as coaching senior players, right? I'm not saying they would not do better. I'm not saying they would do worse. Just throwing that out there. But hey, we got some talented coaches as well. Many fact, yes, Tati Castellanos from Girona. He's on loan in Spain over from New York FC, NYFC in the MLS. Tati Castellanos is another one in good form for Girona this season in La Liga. So there you go. Calvin, as we saw with these knockout tournaments, even for the first team, it's about moments in attack and defense. It's even harder to grasp that with the youth, but they will learn with experience. Thank you. Yes, very well said, Calvin. Very, very well said. We saw it numerous times at the World Cup with Argentina. Sometimes it's down to moments. We've seen it in the past, and these are still young players, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old players. They're still learning, right? Their decision-making will improve. Their talent will improve. Their ability, everything's going to improve with them. They're still very young, still very, very young. So good on him. And oh man, that's a good question. We're gonna close things off pretty soon. But what do you think? Alejo Feliz gets an opportunity playing in Europe. Which club should pick him? Oh, man, he's still young. It's tough to tell. I'd love to see him in Spain. I think he's good in the air. I think he would learn a lot in Spain. Maybe the tight marking in Italy as well as a number 9. It helps you improve. And but man, the marking and just improving as a player in general, making that jump to Europe, no matter wherever it is in Europe, playing against teams that will be in the Champions League or Europa League or Conference League, making that jump over to Europe, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for any player. But I'm excited to see him make the jump over to Europe, preferably La Liga, just because of the culture, the language, and as a young player making the jump. But whenever he does go there, I'd like to see him in Spain somewhere. And yeah, so that's about it. We're coming up. We just passed an hour, which is nuts. Just crazy to think we've already passed an hour talking about Argentina. And John, we need to understand H category football is very unpredictable. That is very true. We should take the result with a pinch of salt. After all, how many players in the current national team achieved that youth level? Very good point. Very good point, right? Spoke about this last time. I think Messi, Di Maria, Aguero aside, but Messi, Di Maria are the only ones that won an under-20 World Cup and the Senior World Cup with Argentina. Let's not forget, Otamendi jumped onto the scene when he was still with Vélez in 2008, 2009, played in 2010. Played as a right back, way out of position against Germany. Not his fault. And then we saw his progression, right? He played in Brazil with Atlético Mineiro, went over to Valencia, and then his, Manchester City, and so on and so forth. So sometimes just because you don't play with the under-20 team doesn't mean you're not going to make the national team, the senior team. Not at all. And if you do play with the under-20 team and maybe you don't win a World Cup, doesn't mean you're not going to do well with the senior team. So yes, spot on. All right, and yes, we're gonna close things off about with Lionel Messi really quickly, and then we're gonna do a separate video about the Champions League final, previewing that. Lautaro and Joaquin and Alvarez and Valentin Carboni is another one. Jesus, that's another one I forgot to mention. Valentin Carboni. You want to talk about someone wearing a number 10 shirt? He shined very well. He played very well, and that's another prospect. So Messi officially left PSG. I mean, close to $1 billion or $1 billion offer from Saudi Arabia. He wants to go back to Barcelona. They can't afford him. Rumors of Inter Miami. New rumors of teams in Europe interested in getting him. I'd love to see him in Europe for another season, at least another season. Make a run for the Champions League. If it's not Barcelona, I'd love to see him with Manchester City. Can you imagine the assists he would get to Alvarez and Haaland? It'd be ridiculous. He'd get 50 assists easily. But yeah, no, very happy he left. He left PSG. In hindsight, he went to PSG. He ended up winning a World Cup. He was in great form, as good of a form as you could possibly be going into a World Cup. He was in that form with PSG. So that chapter is closed, and I'd love to see him in Europe. And if it's not Barcelona, I want to see him with maybe City, just reuniting with Pep and playing alongside Alvarez, and just breaking the assists record, but getting the assists to Alvarez and Haaland. But I'd love to see him back in Barcelona. If it's not Europe, go to the MLS. If it's not Europe, I'd rather see him maybe in Europe than in Saudi Arabia. That's just me. But I'd love to see him in Europe. Just my opinion. We're going to find out. Probably soon enough in regards to Lionel Messi. Where's he going to go? Where's he going to end up? I'd love to see him with Barcelona. I think, just as a prediction, I think he goes to Inter Miami. We'll never know. We're going to know, but I'm just saying, at least now we don't know. But I think he goes to Inter Miami, but I don't think we'll truly ever know the 100% details of a failed transfer to Barcelona if it doesn't happen. Yeah, I think there's always some part of it that's kind of hidden or secretive or whatnot, but I think Messi ends up going to Inter Miami. As much as I'd love to see him with Barcelona, I don't think they pull it off. I don't think he'd pull it off. All right. I'm in the U.S. Would rather he go to Saudi Arabia than here. At least Saudis appreciate football. I get it. To each their own, dude. I totally understand. And getting $1 billion Saudi Arabia is not a bad idea. Got it. It's Barcelona, says Vinny. This is a tough one. If I had ever see Messi back in Argentina playing club football, it's tough. The situation economically, socially in Argentina isn't great, and he's spoken about that in the past. Not my words, but his. In terms of the difficulties of going back and his kids and the safety and everything. So it's a tough one. I'd love to see him. The romantic in me would love to see him with Newell's, see him in Argentina playing club football at least for a season. Who knows? Maybe at 38, 39, we could end up getting that. Who knows? All right, last question. We're going to wrap things up. What do you think about Roberto Mancini's approach? And by the way, when I say wrap things up, we could stay here for hours talking about it. But we're going to do another video sometime this week. The approach by Mancini, poaching Argentine players. Look, there were rumors he was going to call up, for example, Ignacio Maestro Puig. But Puig represented Argentina at the Under-20 World Cup, and he seems committed to the team. I don't like it. I don't like what Mancini's doing. I know a lot of people will say, oh, but France does it, or this does it, or this or that. But, maybe France is doing it with players actually born in the country and speak the French language. Mancini's going, after players that have maybe never stepped foot in Italy, don't speak a word of Italian, but their lineage, their heritage is Italian. So it's the modern game. Well, not necessarily the modern game. It's kind of always been like that. If you go back to the first couple of World Cups, and the first World Cup that Italy won, most of the players were made up of, the team was mostly made up of Argentine players. I don't like it. It shows the lack of talent, or at least it's giving off the impression of lack of talent that Italy have at youth level and at senior level. I say this because Italy actually just kind of won today. So they do have some talent, but I don't like what he's doing. He's following the law. He's allowed. I personally don't like it. So that's just me. All right, and wrapping things up. BC, good point about lack of talent. When I see a team full of immigrants, it tells you the players aren't good. That's the impression it gives off. Yes, there you go. Marco Senesi, who was literally called up by Italy, by Mancini, and then Scaloni called him up at the same time for the Finalissima, and Senesi said, hey, I'm going to play for these guys, champs. And there you are. Calvin, I'm fine with whatever Leo decides. He has achieved everything there is to do. He has completed it all. He really, really has. He has completed football. And we have completed this live discussion. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I appreciate it so, so much. It's always fun. And we always surpass an hour easily. And it's incredible. We're going to do one before the Champions League final sometime this week. I'm not sure when, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. So keep your eyes open. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button. You got to have that button on. You got to have it on, guys. But yeah, always fun, everybody. Thank you, guys. You guys are the best, the absolute best. Calvin, Shaw Fitness, John, Vinny, everybody. If I miss you, BC, West Ham Clips, everybody, thank you so, so much. Take care, everybody. And thank you. And if you guys are watching us on repeat on YouTube, let me know in the comments your starting 11. Where would you like to see Messi go? Where do you think Messi's going to go? What do you think about the under 20 team? Javier Mascherano, everything as well. Let me know down below. Thank you, everybody, once more. My name is Roy Nemmer of Mundo Albiceleste.com. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. And remember, Argentina are world champions. Bye, everybody.